Hello, U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace and his 20-point Gaza peace plan are off to a rocky start. Israeli-Hamas differences over the sequencing of the group's decommissioning of arms and Israel's withdrawal from Gaza are the tip of the iceberg, with Israel yet to endorse Mr. Trump's announcement that they had agreed to a phased implementation of his plan. The differences mask the seemingly unbridgeable gap between Israel and the Palestinians over the end goal of Gaza's transition after almost 3 years of war between Israel, traumatized by Hamas's brutal October 7, 2023 attack, and a Strip and Palestinian polity shattered by Israel's devastating and ruthless response. For now, ordinary Gazans care less about the politics of the transition. They are focused on wanting to see an end to continued Israeli strikes that have killed more than 1,000 people since Hamas and Israel agreed to a ceasefire in October of last year, and a withdrawal of Israeli troops that occupy up to 70% of the Strip. Moreover, Gazans want to see the unfettered entry into Gaza of desperately needed humanitarian aid, including medical equipment and medicines, access to overseas care for the thousands whose wounds and illnesses cannot be properly treated in the Strip, provisional housing, and access to basic services like electricity and water. The Israeli military this weekend attacked a warehouse near a hospital in central Gaza that was storing medicine and medical equipment, according to Gaza's health ministry, despite Mr. Trump's announcement. Video of the bomb site showed people recovering what looked like medical items from a 20-meter wide, 10-meter deep crater. The Israeli military said it had struck a Hamas hideout near the hospital, which the group allegedly used to store weapons. The Board of Peace has yet to make good on its promise, voiced in January by Jared Kushner, Mr. Trump's son-in-law, that within 100 days, aid would flow unfettered into Gaza, and that basic services, including water, sewage, electricity, hospitals, and bakeries, would be restored. Hamas and the internationally recognized West Bank-based Palestine Authority have a vested interest in accommodating and easing of Palestinians' lives in the Strip. They need to be seen as prioritizing Palestinians' immediate needs. One would think that so does Israel, with its international standing all but shattered and its relations with the United States strained over the Jewish state's conduct of the Gaza and Lebanese wars, the war in Iran and Syria. Members of Mr. Trump's Board of Peace hope that Israel will act in its best interest if and when the current ultra-nationalist, ultra-religious government of Benjamin Netanyahu is defeated in October elections and replaced by a more sensitive government, even if it shares the outgoing cabinet's opposition to the creation of an independent Palestinian state and perpetuation of the occupation, if not annexation, of the West Bank. The problem is that implementation of Mr. Trump's peace plan is likely to be hampered from the outset, irrespective of what Israeli government is in office, by the unbridgeable gap between Israeli and Palestinian aspirations. Palestinians, with Hamas in the forefront, link whatever concessions they make, including the group's decommissioning of weapons, to guarantees for a complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and a pathway to statehood. For Israel, Gaza's transition is about demolishing Palestinian aspirations, institutionalizing the notion that Gaza and the West Bank are separate rather than two sides of a Palestinian coin, and blocking any pathway to statehood. Hamas insists it will only decommission what's left of its heavy weapons once Israel withdraws from Gaza, while Israel refuses to withdraw until Hamas is fully demilitarized. Much like the United States and Iran, each want an agreement that projects them as the victor who has defeated the other. Israel and Hamas each need to be seen as still standing, if not emerging victorious from the Gaza war. For Hamas, ensuring that it is not seen as surrendering to Israel is crucial as it charts a political rather than a military future, envisioned by Khalil al-Hayya, the group's newly elected leader, more than 2 years ago. Similarly, Mr. Netanyahu needs to be seen as having crushed Hamas and forced it to surrender its arms in advance of October 27 elections that promise to be an uphill battle for the prime minister. The gap between Hamas and Israel's positions goes a far way in explaining why sequencing of the implementation of Mr. Trump's plan poses a problem. Even before, the Board of Peace appointed 13-member technocratic National Committee for Administration in Gaza and International Stabilization Force troops hit the ground in the Strip. Potentially, the silver lining in Mr. Trump's announcement of the purported agreement is the fact that the president may have realized that support for Israel's position will not allow him to declare a success in Gaza. Mr. Trump is encouraged by the knowledge that Mr. Netanyahu has to tread carefully. The prime minister cannot afford domestically or internationally to further alienate the president. Mr. Trump announced his purported Israel-Hamas agreement on the implementation of his peace plan after reversing his negotiators' insistence that Hamas disarm before the technocratic Palestinian administration takes over the day-to-day management of the Strip and reconstruction begins. Instead, Mr. Trump endorsed linking Hamas's decommissioning of weapons to the gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces. The gap between Israel and Hamas's position is perpetuated by the failure of Mr. Trump to publicly repudiate his vision of a depopulated Gaza and development of the Strip as a Mediterranean Riviera. Mr. Trump's vision enabled Israel to elevate what it calls voluntary migration to official government policy. In practice, Mr. Trump has rolled back his problematic futuristic plan to a small pilot project near Rafah in the south of Gaza, where a temporary camp would be built in which tens of thousands of Palestinians, a faction of the 2 million displaced Gazans whose homes have been largely reduced to rubble, would be housed in portable cabins. A small number of Moroccan and Kosovan officers arrived in Israel recently to form the kernel of a 5,000 strong stabilization force that would initially be tasked with securing the temporary camp and manning a crossing between the camp and Hamas controlled territory. While Israel insisting that camp residents would not be allowed to leave the camp, Palestinians fear that it will provide relief to its inhabitants but further fragment the Strip. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, a former hawk turned dove, went as far as warning that the camp would be a concentration camp. It is a concentration camp. I'm sorry. If the Palestinians will be deported into the new humanitarian city, then you can say that this is part of an ethnic cleansing, Mr. Olmert said. Thank you for watching or listening to The Turbulent World. I'm honored that you spend time with my work, given that we live in a world of information overload, in which time and attention come at a premium. The Turbulent World offers in-depth, independent, evidence-based, and original geopolitical analysis of the Middle East, the Muslim world, and the rise of civilizational leaders that goes beyond what mainstream media offer. Paid subscribers make the Turbulent World possible. They have full access to all postings, podcasts, and videos, as well as the newsletter's multi-year archive. They can post comments and get one-on-one briefings on demand. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber. This is as good a time as any to subscribe. You can do so by going to jamesmdorsey.substack.com. Thank you, best wishes, and see you soon.